Hey guys, welcome to our Burnout Proof Blueprint. We have been married for 16 years and we have been doing business nationally in multiple businesses at multi-million dollars, and we are looking to help you grow your business as well.
We've been married for 16 years.
Amazing years.
They haven't always been amazing. They've been amazing for the last couple of years.
They were for me.
We both built and scaled multiple national companies. We've developed great teams. And so we want to kind of show you all the different things that we've done well, some of the things we've done wrong, and how we've vertically integrated and expanded into different industries. We've done lots of different industries. And we want to make sure that we help other people to be profitable, purposeful, and most importantly, sustainable.
There you go. You know, one of the first things you're going to have to look at, and this is really foreign to a lot of people, but you have to figure out when you're growing and scaling your business, are you going to license it? Are you going to franchise it? Or are you going to run a corporate model, right? So all of those are things that you're going to have to figure out what is the best thing for you. Now, we're going to sit down with you personally and help you walk through each of those things. This is not difficult, but at the same time, it's not natural. So once you've done it once, which we have, and we've done it multiple times, we can break that down for you and help you figure out what the best model is for you.
Yeah, and he likes the franchise model. I like more of the corporate model. We both are big into scaling and nationally into all 50 states. And it really doesn't matter what kind of business you're in. We are really passionate about you guys growing and scaling. So
Absolutely. One of the examples of this, I was running a Fannie Mae account. This is a big REO account. And when I was doing that, we were going out there and we're taking 50% of the commission. We ran it nationwide. This is one of the nationwide companies we had run. And when we were doing this, one of the mentors to me said, hey, why don't you do this? Dial it back a percentage. We took it to a 5%. And instead of us handling accounting and all the logistics and all the hard parts, we actually allowed them to do that. And we took a lesser piece. But what that did is it freed us up. And freedom is really the key that we're looking for. and that's what we want to share with you.
And too many people just chase the biggest slice of the pie, but they forget that the bigger slice of the pie, there's just a lot more weight that comes with it, right? Like it's kind of like eating a bigger slice of pie, you're going to have more weight that comes with it. And so I know for me, and I think for you, we'd rather just have a smaller slice with less chaos. And instead of owning the whole thing and being buried in chaos, really focus on the smaller piece, less moving parts, and able to hit the easy button. I needed an easy button right
That
here.
is your favorite. You know, and a lot of that comes down to mistakes, right? And we've gone through this. We've messed up quite a few times to figure out what we need to do better and what we could do better. And what I found is most people are willing to pay money to get past the losses. If I could just pay a certain amount of money and skip all the money I lost by learning from the mistakes from somebody else, I would definitely do that.
Yeah, and I always say, like, if you want to go from here to there, the most important thing that you can do is to learn from someone who's already been there. And one of the biggest things I see is that people just keep getting ready to get ready. They're like, oh, it's like ready, 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 and they never aim. And so I know I want to start with some of the biggest mistakes. I'll start with mine because I know you don't love to share your mistakes. He likes to be like, what mistakes? Right? But one of the biggest mistakes I made in my second company that I scaled was that I hired way too many ops people, way too many tech people. I read an article from Amazon at the time, and I remember it saying Amazon at the time was making zero profit, and they were just taking all their money and putting it right back into operations and web. And at one point we had 6 full-time web developers on staff. And the first company that I grew and scaled, I focused on sales and marketing, sales and marketing, sales and marketing.
Lot of them.
Yeah. And we did great. But then guess what? On the second company, I focused so much on operation and didn't put the money into the sales and the marketing like I needed to. And you have to focus on sales first.
You know, what I love about what we're getting ready to offer is that when you're Amazon, you had to go borrow and borrow and borrow. And when she's running a company or I'm running a company, we don't usually have access to institutional funding. But what we did do is we were able to grow and scale those businesses with a blueprint that we can share with you. And it works without having to borrow it to the tilt. You can lead with profit.
Yeah, I am all about leading with profit, but I want to talk about another mistake I made, and that is hiring too many people in the busy season. So every business has peaks and valleys. This is a busy time. This is a
Cyclical.
slow time. Yeah. Basically with real estate, March, April, May, June is a really busy time. And I remember our staff would be like, we're so busy. We need help. We need help. And, I'd be like, hire people, hire people. I wrote the book, Delegate Everything But Sex. So I'm all about, hire another person so we have to delegate to. But one of the things that I would say is instead of hiring during those busy seasons, what you really want to do is you want to eliminate, automate, or delegate it and outsource it to someone else, because growth doesn't necessarily mean more people. It means focusing on what's essential. And so writing down, having all your staff go, okay, we're in a busy season right now. Let's write down the most important things that we can't get rid of. There's other things that are fluff that we can just say, for right now, while we're in busy season, we don't need to do these bottom things. And you don't want to hire in a panic, because we never wanted to fire anyone during slow season.
Right.
So we just kept them on, and that was not good for profit during those slower seasons. So if you can really start eliminating some of the things your staff are doing that are non-essential before you hire more people.
I know we go into this more at another time, but really, essentially, there's things that can be done away with. They don't have to be done, and you can erase those things, which will free up people to do more and more of the profitable stuff versus hiring for the stuff that isn't needed.
Yeah, and we would tell our staff, like, okay, write down when they were really busy.
That's
I
a
want
key.
you to,
That is a key. Write down what they're doing every day so you can figure out what's a waste of time, because sometimes you don't even know what they're doing.
Yeah, because they're like, I'm overwhelmed. And then when you have them just say, okay, for the next week, I want you to document everything you're doing. And we actually still have people do that. We have end of day reports, those every single day, so we can see what they are doing or not doing, those end of day reports. And we have samples of those, so that you can copy those and implement those into your business.
There's so much value, so much value. But one of the big things is you have to go back and ask yourself, what are you building, right? And so once you're doing this, you're trying to skinny this stuff up. You have to save your time, money, and energy. And with that, you have to be focused on what it is you're doing. And so what we're trying to do is help you build something. And a lot of times you're running a one location or one shop, and we want to help you get to a place to scaling it, whether that's licensing, franchising, and whatnot. You're building by profit, so you want to just have massive amount of profit, or you're building it because you want to sell. And so building a multiplier, building it where you're filling all the lanes where you don't have to be in it. And so that takes direct focus and intentionality, and you have to be asking those questions on a regular basis to what you're doing.
And not only that, just building it lean, like building it profitable. And you have to ask yourself daily, like, are you building positive cash flow for that? Like, did you make money today? Were you spending your time and energy on building cash flow and building money that day, and are you able to sell it? And I know for me and you, we've done that for each other. There's been times that you're like looking at my P&L and going, what is this? Like, why are you spending time on this? Why are you spending money on this? You need people to go through and go, what the heck?
Yeah, obviously that's a key to this, is that you've been that for me, and I feel like I've helped you with some of that as well. And ultimately, when you're looking at it on your own, you're not focused on, you believed you needed to spend time, money, or energy on those things. And so, really what it comes back to is sales, marketing, logistics, right? And so, you are obviously the marketing queen. We have built out sales teams. We know how to do that. We know how to script those things out. And logistically, we know how to put those teams together. And we can even share some of those resources.
Well, I think one of your biggest strengths, honestly, is the
picking a
ratio.
Wife. Is picking a wife. Thank you.
Is actually giving the ratio, the right ratio between how much you need to spend in sales, marketing, and logistics. Because a lot of people are like, well, yeah, I'm doing all three. But like I said before, back to my first mistake, they're spending too much time on operations and they're not spending the money on the marketing. And right now, when businesses are starting to feel like they're, cutting back, a lot of times the first place they cut back is in the marketing and sales, which is not the right place. So it's finding that perfect ratio, and every business is different. You have an eye for going in and going, nope, I can see exactly what's going on here. You're spending way too much on logistics. Here's the exact percentage. And you actually will go through and go, nope, here's the percentage you need to spend for this. Here's the percentage. And the job as the CEO is to know exactly what is the perfect ratio for your particular business. And you're a master at that.
It's a science for scaling, right? I mean, and once you can take in and we pair up with something that you do really, really well, which is getting the cost of a lead down and being able to penetrate a market and branding and those things make all of the sales and these other mathematical things a lot easier. It leaves you more room to be able to build.
Well, one of the things that I always say is that if you, my favorite line is that if you overhire in logistics and you underinvest in sales, you're going to have this smooth operation, right? Yep. Everything's going to be perfect. The system's going to be great, but you have nothing to sell. You're not selling anything. Right. So what good is it if you've got these systems and processes that are so good and no one to buy it?
Yeah. Well, now how are you building out things with stuff like that? So what what's your trick? How do you go in from the other side of this?
Well, marketing is my favorite part of things. That's where I love to spend my time. And building a sticky brand is really, really important.
You're a genius at that. I've seen it.
Well,
over and over.
I first started in real estate. And when I first started, I actually interviewed about 60 to 100 people. And I literally asked them, what do you hate about real estate agents? And so they would say, you know what? I hate when an agent locks me in for 6 months to a year and does nothing. And so I was like, all right, well, that's fine. Let's build a guarantee around that. We'll do a fire me guarantee. And then people would say, well, I don't like when agents kind of just stick me in a house. They don't really care if I love it or not. So we said, all right, we'll just do a love it or leave it promise where if you don't love the house within the first 90 days, we'll sell it for free. And so it's just kind of finding out in your profession, what do people hate? One of the ones that I loved, I remember it's where I built my guarantees. I remember a flooring company, and they said, if you don't love the floor that we put down, we will come in, rip it up, and give you a brand new floor.
Really?
Well, that gives you peace, right? Because it's like, sometimes when you look at a flooring, it looks great when it's this big, but once you put it down, you're like, oh my gosh, this is a disaster. And they say, guess what? If that happens to you, once we install it, we'll rip it up and put it for free. And then people are like, I'm not going to do that kind of guarantee. But the truth is, barely anyone ever, after it's already in, they're not going to be like, all right, let's just rip it up. It's like 0.001%, but you're now giving a guarantee that gives people that peace.
You have a talent and an ease for this. And I know if they bring you the business like I have and show you this, you're going to be able to dissect it and then they have it forever. They don't have to redo this over and over and over again. Once you take a look at it, you give them the information, they have the play, and they can go run whatever their guarantee is or whatever it is that's the problem that you can solve for their business.
Yeah. So another guarantee that we do is we'll sell your home in 90 days or we'll buy it for cash or the commission is free. And we do have stipulations on that, right? Like if it's a $2 million house, we can't do that guarantee. So you can make some guarantees like that. That is our guarantee. We will sell your home in 90 days or we'll buy it for cash if it's something that we want, or we just don't pay a commission. The seller doesn't pay a commission. But here's the thing. There is some stipulations behind it. For example, if it's a luxury home, it's $3 million, that guarantee doesn't go into place. So you can also have a guarantee that has a few, and you go over with the people up front, so it's not like a bait and switch or anything, but it gets the phone ringing, and then you explain to people, here's what it includes. And the other thing that's really important is figuring out how you're different. And it's hard for people to figure that out, and you need someone to kind of come alongside you to figure it out. So like for us, part of those differences that we talked about are those guarantees. Like giving to charity is really important to me. So I just put it as part of how we're different. We give back 10% of the company dollar that we get to the charity of our choice. So you figure out what are some things that can pull on heartstrings to get people to go, you know what? I like that about that person. I want to support
getting to
someone.
Give. They're getting to give
too.
Even though they're using your services. And I think
Exactly.
people really enjoy stuff like that.
Yeah, and you come up with your own differences, and we help ask the right questions to figure out how are you different? Because a lot of people are like, I don't really know. I'll give an example of one person that we really helped. and it was a guy that had the Wall Right. He was called Wall Right Solutions.
Nicest guy.
Nicest guy. And I remember he was trying to explain his business, and he was trying to explain it. And I was like, I just said, okay, let's stop right here. I know exactly what we need to do. It was in the first minute. He does this thing where he helps make garages pretty, and he organizes them. And I said, here's what you need to do. Step one, we need to get a picture of an organized garage immediately on all of your stuff. When you go to your website, the first picture should be nothing but pictures of organized garages. Your business card, don't even have your logo as the main thing. The main thing should be showing these garages that are completely transformed.
Before and after, kind of.
Before and after, or just the after, really.
Yeah, that sticks out.
It makes such a difference.
You know, I mean, that all that stuff it's amazing. And I feel like you can do that over and over and over with multiple different businesses. And it's such a value. And at the same time, even one of these things may not apply to somebody because they've got something different for their business. And so, you know, I love your creativity and your ability to do that. You know, going back to this thing that, you know, with the levers, there's three things that really are levering every single business. It's your time allocation, your money allocation, and your energy allocation. And it's really hard sometimes to go in and dial that in because you've spent money on something and you believe you should. Every day you're spending money on coffee. Well, somebody comes in and looks at your accounting and says, hey, you're spending money on coffee. That money could be reallocated to something else. Hey, you're spending a lot of energy helping somebody that's not getting you a result. Not having a KPI for that can really be a difference in how you can reallocate that energy. But it takes somebody coming in and then telling you, hey, you're doing this and you could try this because it seems scary because we've always done it that way and we felt comfortable with that. And when we felt comfortable with that, we did it because it worked and that was our belief system. A coaching or somebody that's been where you're trying to go that can come in and reframe how you're analyzing something and how you can do it differently. And more so maybe giving you the confidence to make that adjustment can really be the springboard to leading to something else.
Yeah. And I think the energy allocation is one question that you always challenge me on because you're always like, you know.
I love your energy.
But you always ask me like, okay, is this really the energy that is it worth the squeeze? Basically,
right.
Is the juice worth the squeeze? I think a lot of people know about the time allocation and they know about the money allocation, but they forget about the energy allocation. I remember I was working with a CEO that was doing podcasts, and after coaching him for a little bit, we realized that he should really only be doing 2 podcasts per day because his energy was really, really good for those first 2. And he was trying to squeeze in like 4 and 5 podcasts. By the time his 4th podcast came in, it was just his energy wasn't there. Nothing was going right on those later podcasts. And so he just made the decision, you're right, I'm only going to do 2 podcasts per day. That's all my energy can give to make it the best that I can be.
That's right.
Well, let's talk about time.
Oh, man. So, you know, paying attention to where your time is spent, you know, in this, when you're going in and you're spending time like helping people that are not necessarily getting you the result, when it's not driving revenue, a lot of times is when you're not driving revenue, you're spending so much time, but no new money is coming in. And when you reallocate that time toward driving in sales and revenue, this is a huge, indicator of what your business can do. A lot of people think revenue is for vanity, right? And so when you're looking at this, revenue is not necessarily for vanity if your time is allocated toward generating new revenue. So there is a correlation and a value to that, and I think people don't pay close enough attention to that.
Yeah, and you know I wrote the book Delegate Everything But Sex, so I love, love, love to delegate. And I think that's one of the things that I can really challenge people on a daily basis of why are you doing that? And I always give the analogy of my hair because a lot of people don't realize my hair, this is my natural hair and it's very, very thick, but it takes a solid 45 to 50 minutes to blow dry my hair. And so I have someone that will blow dry my hair while I'm on the computer and while I'm working. And it's a silly example, but it just goes to show you that 45 to 50 minutes I don't have to waste blow drying my hair because I have someone that does it for me. And so I think there's a lot of things that people don't realize that they really can delegate. And a CEO's time has to be spent where the ROI is the highest. And so if we can go through your day.
I was just thinking of something. I've seen you getting your hair done with a laptop, sending emails on the speakerphone, talking to somebody else about doing something else. You're usually doing three things. You're emailing somebody to take care of this while telling somebody else to do this while somebody else is doing your hair. It's a funny picture, and I just had it in my mind.
Yeah, but it's also about, should I delegate it? Should I automate it? Should I eliminate it? So us having somebody that can go alongside you and really asking you those hard questions of where your time is being spent, you don't get that in a big conference. And me and you just went to this conference, and
You're disgusted even saying it. I can just see it in your face.
About it, honestly, I was so pumped about it too. And it was probably, I don't know, maybe 1,000 to 1,500 people. And on a scale of 1 to 10, I gave it a -5. And that's actually, I'm really glad that that happened, because that's when I decided we need to start working more in small groups with people, because CEOs really need a community of people that can come alongside them and help them. But I thought these people are just going in, getting a rah, shish kaboom ba, and getting no value. I mean, when I say no value, I rated it a -5 when I was done. And so that just kind of got me more passionate about helping CEOs, because we need it. We need each other.
We do. Tell us about auditing the money.
Well, you love the money game, so I'll let you start about the money.
All right. So I'm really funny about this. A lot of people try and cut their way to a profit, and I'm all for cutting and trimming things back, but you've got to make sure you're allocating money to the highest rate of return. And if you're not running it to the rate of return, you start dialing it back. Next thing you know, you're letting go of an employee, you're letting go of marketing or sales, and all of that stuff starts going back and back and back. And so you've got to audit it, and at the same time, you can't be wasteful, right? And so if you're wasteful and you're spending it where it's not driving in those revenues, again, I keep going back to the revenues, because driving in that revenue is really, really key, because I'm fanatical. I mean, I track it. If you don't care about it, you won't track it. But you've seen all of the sheets I have, and people think I'm crazy because I track all these different numbers, because I want to make sure my time, money, and energy is driving into new revenue. I want to make sure that revenue is going up. Or I might as well not be doing it. I might as well not be spending that money. And I'm just really fanatical about it.
Well, your COO made the most amazing spreadsheets that I've ever seen in my entire life, that are so clean and crisp. And he actually gives them to you, where he just takes the numbers off, and I use them. I just cloned it. I was like, give me a copy of that. I've never seen anything better. And then you just put your numbers in, and the way you have it formatted.
Simple. You got to keep it simple.
So simple and clean. I've never seen anything. And it really helped me. That was one of the things that really helped me, just copying that spreadsheet, putting my information in those boxes. It's all color coded in different areas. It's so clean and crisp. But if I am also on I like to cut. But I've also found things, because we wanted to find the things that can scale. We've already went through and tried the 30 different systems, and we now can share with you, okay, at one point we had a call center with this phone system that was just like Geico's, right? The biggest, baddest phone system ever. And now we have a phone system that has all of our employees that is under $100 a month. Wow. And can be used for all of our virtual employees that are around the world, and it's completely scalable. So it's the cheapest thing that you can possibly do. So we just give you the systems that we have. And one of the other things that we've built is an all-in-one portal that I'll talk about a little bit later, that it looks like the iPhone, where it literally, when your employees come in, it has every system right there, centralized. So you have one login. You don't have to worry about the passwords. Everything's already in there. That's probably one of my favorite things that I've ever built.
You know, auditing your energy is, something I already kind of went into, but you want to make sure that things aren't draining you. You're working with people that are driving your energy up. And, I mean, I always get pumped even talking with Chantel because we just have our pillow talk is really about business and things like that, where we energize each other. So you want to make sure you're doing that and make sure that your energy is going up. The things that stink, you probably read books about that. The things you don't like, you don't want to do those. You want to try and delegate those. If you can delegate those things, it's going to keep your energy up. And, all of this stuff really comes together. And that's part of this, is that all of this really is not any one size fits all. It's all of it together really makes a blueprint for winning.
Well, and God's made all of us to be gifted at certain things. And one of the things that I think people try to do is they try to become better at the things that they're not good at. And I'm actually, like, a perfect example is Tiger Woods. Tiger Woods is amazing at golf. Do you think he cares that he's not good at math? You know what I'm saying?
He might be good at math, though.
Yeah,
we don't know.
No
I know
disrespect. I don't know, but I'm just saying, like, figure out what you're really good at, and let's focus on that. Delegate everything else, and not worry about trying to get good at those other things. And so, when I know for me, I hate administrative anything. If I have to do anything administrative, I'm miserable. I'm not happy. I don't like a lot of details.
Bogs you
I'm
down.
a visionary. I like big things. I like to do big things. And if you start making me start getting into the details, I am miserable. And if your energy is off, your execution will be too. And so you have to delegate those things because your energy is actually one of your most valuable assets.
Yeah, if not the most valuable.
It really is. I know you created this skinny business model, and I love that. We want to be skinny in all kinds of areas. And I think you have done a great job of creating systems, and you've learned some of those systems for what is the most scalable and leanable. So what would you say are some of the systems that you found?
This goes back to kind of what I was talking about earlier. When you're running this profitable lean machine, the dynamic of your business changes, right? And so when you're getting something small in a cost structure, and when it's lean, it's good for a unit. But what happens is that now becomes replicable everywhere else, and that's actually where the profit comes from. It's not like at running a McDonald's, you got a patty down to 10 cents. You can't have a cow in the back and run a farm and run the butcher and all that and get a patty there. You had to run it to where there was a farm and where there was a McDonald's. They're two separate entities, and by doing that, that's what drives up the profit of both entities.
One of the biggest mistakes we made was we decided to use Salesforce, and we decided to build out a lot of our systems and processes on that. And I can't even tell you how much of a nightmare that was for our business. If I had to do that all over again, that was one of the biggest mistakes that I ever made. But it's figuring out for your business which system is the one that can help you have more profit. And now with AI, like, we love to teach people all of the different AI tools. It's a game changer.
It is.
I will tell you, my mom the other day, she was like, well, I don't like to do tech. And she was kind of, like, I'm just not a tech person. And I was like, well, then guess what? You either have to start embracing
Adapt or die, isn't that what they say?
Yeah, because it's like, then just go ahead and retire.
And
that's
a coach is going to force you to do that. I was
just kind of like, just retire then. Because either you have to adapt to what's going on, you have to get involved in tech, you have to get in going with it. I hope she's not watching
I
this.
know. Well, it was aggressive. And at the same time, I know you love her, so I know you're passionate about making sure someone doesn't stay stagnant where they are, because your passion of it is like, if you keep doing this, you're not going to grow, and I'm worried for you, and that comes through.
Absolutely. Well, one of my favorite lines, and you say it different, I like mine better, you'll have to decide, but I like to say, simplicity scales, complexity fails, and you say...
I say what everybody says, simplicity scales, fancy fails. It's when you're trying to make it too complex, to your point, and too fancy, then you can't sell it, you can't market it. It's too complex for somebody else, which is why you simply took the garage door thing and made it into a picture and said, this is what it's going to look like. It's that simple. Whatever these pieces are, pick one out, right? And it works over and over and over again.
Yeah. And I feel like we kind of changed roles. So at one point, you were so good about making things simple, And then I made things super complicated. Then I was like, nope. Simplicity scales, complexity fails. And then I started simplifying everything. And then I felt like you kind of took over and you started making things complicated. I'm going to share something that you did that made it complicated. Are you okay with that?
Are you sharing it or am I?
Okay, you share it. I'd rather you do it because then it's like you share it.
Well, I know we were talking about this earlier that we had all these systems and this stuff in place, and we decided we were going to set up a call center. And with the call center, we were setting it up.
Yeah. I didn't think you were talking about that, but good.
So we went in and, we had a big grand vision. And once you have a big grand vision, we started looking at it as every part of the business could be a new business. So we set up a new business for one of the parts of the business. And then, you're hiring the people and they weren't doing as good of a job, and they weren't dialing the unit economics actually cost more opening our own business. And you're like, that's okay, because we're going to grow to something else. But the time allocation there stopped us from growing the core business that we should have been working on, because we were trying to repeat that. And so ultimately we came to a place where we just said that business isn't working. We've had to close it. And we don't think too much about it. Once it's not working, we're going to just shut it down and we're going to go back to doing something else. We're going to lose some money on that. And we're okay figuring that out. At the same time, if we had just listened to somebody else, maybe then we wouldn't have lost that amount of money. And I don't want you to lose that money. So I would rather tell you that happened and share with you when you go to look for those kind of things and say, hey, let's try this, or let's move this, or let's get a little more simple so that we can scale.
And I want to say that honestly, I feel like I actually put it on camera because I was like, I've run a call center before. I know exactly what it takes. So I was like, let the record show. And I put it on iPhone video. And I said, this is a really bad idea. I 100% don't think you should do it. And he didn't listen.
And I say, you don't know what you're talking about. You don't know what you're talking about, right? I mean, but they're going to say that to us too, right? We're going to go in and tell them about the business, and they're going to we do it with each other. They're going to do it. I mean, it's part of the game, and that's how we build trust. To saying, all right, maybe I need to slow down and listen to somebody else's opinion, even if it doesn't match my own.
Well, I think the other part is actually creating another thing that I think that you've done, and I think you would say you agree, is I am really anti. A lot of times people, when they have a new idea, they just create a new company. And so if you've got 10 different companies, you've got an LLC for this one, and a C Corp for this one, and an S Corp for this one, and another EIN. That means you've got 10 sets of tax returns, 10 bank accounts, 10 times the headache you pay for another QuickBooks.
But it's another thing I can brag about. I can say I have 10 companies, right? Not 10 profitable companies, but I have 10 companies. And the accountant says yes. I mean, they're grateful because you had 10 tax returns.
Yeah, so you can actually keep it really simple, where you have one clear structure that scales. And that's where freedom and profit comes in, where you can have subdivisions of that
sub-accounts, right?
Sub-accounts,
that's what you were talking about earlier,
you can have sub-accounts of different companies. You can have this little section of this company, but it doesn't mean every time you start a new thing that you need to create a new company. And, I always like to bring up Apple because, iPhone is the biggest thing they do. They've got their laptop and they have the iPhone. And I know that I've heard different things where, the CEO of Apple, one of his biggest strengths is he just keeps saying no. Can you imagine how many people come to him and say, I have a new idea. You should do this. And I know. I definitely want to share one. One time we had the agents come to us and they were like, we have to have this new program. It was called Videolicious at the time. And 2 other companies were doing it. And they said, we need to have Videolicious. So everybody was like, please, 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 can we get it? Cost our company thousands of dollars a month. And you can see how many people use it. 2 people were using that per month. But it was something that the employees and the agents and
it's a pressure. You feel pressure.
Yeah, they're like,
you want to be a good leader. You want to be a good leader.
Yeah, and if you can have a set of balls and say no, that's when you are a strong leader. And just being able to say no is So underrated.
Sometimes it gets confusing, right? And so that's where I think coaching and leadership can come in to help you make those decisions. When is the right time to say yes and when is the right time to say no? It matters in your economics, it matters in your employee setup, it matters in your financial situation. So all of that is going to make a difference in whether you make a decision like that and whether it's going to stay true to your core values and grow the revenue that we talked about before.
Yeah. And one of the things that I think we've finally figured out for us is just that we've found some different ways in business that we've been able to make passive income. And I know that, real freedom isn't just about making more money, it's about making money that doesn't need you every single day and doesn't need your time and attention. And so when you're building your business right, you can step back and it still runs. That's what we want to get you to. And also building up some passive income streams for your business. Every different company, it doesn't matter which, you can have different ones that can create passive income.
It's a discipline. It like anything else, to make passive income, it's a discipline. So you have to get to a place where you start dialing back on the roles in what you're doing to make it passive. You have to go in and make business decisions that are different, meaning I'm going to go do this and make all of the money, or I'm going to go do this and I'm going to have a job. And we're going to try and get you out of that side of it. And so it may mean making a smaller amount of money, but then it's passive is better than a large amount of money that you have to do active for. And so again, it's a discipline, it's a mind shift, and you have to take it and break it down by each and every one of the situations. And so that's what we want to do.
Yeah. And so one of the things we would love to invite you to do is to come we have a few different things that we're doing. One is group coaching. And so if you are interested, we'll kind of put the QR code on the screen, but we're going to do it once a week. And if you're finding value in some of the different things that we've said, we're going to have live coaching where we're going to ask, questions on there. We're going to dive into your business. It's going to be small.
And they're getting both of us.
Yeah.
Both of us.
Yeah.
All the businesses in marketing you have, you have so many strengths. I have strengths combined. They're going to get both of those opportunities. And I'm excited about that.
And we're so practical. We don't really talk like pie in the sky. We like really get in.
Oh, I don't like the pie in the sky. It actually is a trigger to me of pie in the sky. If you make a plan, I'm going to go do 100 of these. I'm like, well, then I want to see the details because I've done 100 of those. So I know how micro you have to get in your brain to doing it. So we're actually going to hold you to it.
Yeah. And then we also do one-on-one coaching. So like if you want to do some dedicated one-on-one with us, you can either pick me or pick Ryan. We won't be mad.
I would pick her. I would pick her.
And I would pick you. And it's going to be tailored to your business, exactly what it is. It doesn't matter what business is. We just love to scale businesses. And so if you're a little bit like, I just want to grow my little business and I just want it to be like more mom and pop, that we're not really the right ones for you to coach with, just because we love to grow businesses.
On the other side,
big.
sometimes that just feels like a pressure, right? Like sometimes you'll say, hey, can you go take care of this? And I feel overwhelmed. Something small can seem like it's too difficult of a task. And so I think that becomes the same with people when they've got what could be considered a small business. They feel overwhelmed by trying to go grow a bigger business. We will simplify it and make it so much easier for them to go grow. It's actually easier to do more than it is to do less. It's less work to have a bigger business than it is to have a smaller business, because then everyone's in all of the lanes and it just seems so difficult to do, but it's really, really not. And because we've done it over and over again, that it's really easier. Now, when they do the group coaching, there's a value. When you do a one-on-one, that is going to be a huge value, because I know that you can plug in and do one-on-one and you're going to have months worth of work to do and things to do and clarity, and the energy that's going to come from it is just going to be well worth it. I already know that part of it. But when you're doing the group coaching, you have all the access to the community, you have access to all the resources. So everything's plugged in there, and then you have a consistency and you have a resource to be able to go in and drive your business that way.
Yeah, and then we're doing something else that's kind of unique. We're inviting you to come to our personal home.
Come on.
So we live actually 4 minutes from the #1 beach in the United States.
She loves it.
It's Siesta Key Beach, and we can walk there, we can bike ride there, or take the golf cart. And we also live on the water, so it's a beautiful view. We can sit outside, and we just basically have about 10 to 12 people that we're going to invite, and we're going to try to kind of combine them into the same size businesses. So depending
there's
on
the
your
application
size,
process for
yeah.
that,
So there's
but
an
yeah.
application process. I mean, we're going to do things like a private P&L review. We're going to solve some of your top 3 business challenges. We are going to go over team structures. We're going to come up with the best business model. We're going to go over your marketing, figuring out what your differences are, and
I mean,
really,
what a value. What a value.
yes.
The idea of even going to the whiteboard. I mean, that, that's
Oh
my
my God.
creative energy.
No,
Like,
I'm
I
telling
love it.
you, this is the thing. I don't know what happens to you, but like if you just sit him down, he's great. But no, you give him a whiteboard marker, and the marker doesn't even have to work all the way.
Oh man, that was brutal. That is, I ordered like a whole pack of them when it did work, because that was just like devastating when the marker didn't work.
But put him on
I
front
used
of
a
a
Sharpie
whiteboard
after that.
and it's over. It's just over. He gets a whiteboard, and we actually have a huge
But doesn't
whiteboard.
your brain just kind of look at it differently once you see it on that whiteboard and you start mapping it out? There's bubbles, and this leads to this, and I mean, my brain
Oh,
loves
yeah.
it. I love it.
And then it's going to be super interactive. It's not going to be like we're up there talking.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's going to get involved. You're going to be with business owners that are kind of the same size. We put you in small groups, and it's magical when we get those 10 people together.
Yeah, I'm going to love it. I'm looking forward to it.
So, and then we're doing one other exciting thing where we're doing a private jet mastermind. And so we've done several of these together, and I don't know what happens, but when you get up in the air with like-minded people,
It's an energy. It's just an
It's the
energy. It's a
energy.
synergy. I don't know what it is. It's always explosive for me. I mean, it's well worth it. Whatever it is, I've always gotten a 10x
Oh,
plus,
yeah.
let alone the relationships. Because when you're doing that, you're having a multiple people that are aligned and looking for the same thing. They're energized. Like sometimes you're isolated, right? You're sitting in a house by yourself or whatever it is, and you feel like you're the top dog by yourself, and you can't get new thought patterns. But something like this, you go in and multiple people are hungry for that, and you put them all in the same room, let alone the same airplane, and you go to a destination, and it really is. It's just an adventure. It's one of those things that you highlight for the year.
Yeah. We're going to give you a 30-day accountability plan. We're going to give you a scalable blueprint. We're going to also give you something that is really, really magical. We're going to really talk to you about the systems and hiring playbook that we've done that it really talks about how to automate first, who to hire, what's next. It's just been a really good playbook that we've put all of our stuff down on.
I feel like we can only tell them what this is because we only have enough time to tell them what this is. They
Yeah.
have to go dig in to really see what it is. But my mind is picturing it. I'm wondering what they think of this, because I'm visualizing what that means, the avatar and all this other stuff that goes into it, and like how much value it is, how much they need it. And it just looks like words on a screen, or it's just words coming out. But at the end of the day, like it's massive in the value.
No, guess what I got for the next private jet mastermind?
What
I
you
haven't
got?
told him this yet. This is the first time I'm telling him. I got
She's so
a
busy, she didn't have time to tell
whiteboard
me.
that
Really?
goes on the private jet that
Really?
will stand and help, because I'm telling you guys, he has to have a whiteboard. Like, he has to have one. So this is made for private jets.
Can I
And
give them the
so-
disclosure? You can't read my writing, all right? I don't know how the
It
whiteboard
doesn't
helps
matter.
you. You can't read it, but I've had other friends fly in and we do these whiteboard sessions, and I mean, we've created national companies. It's fun. Sometimes they're even like, hey, come in on it with us. And we're like, okay, deal. Let's do it. We'll do it together. When we like your business, we like your business.
Oh, yeah. And so speaking of coming in on it together, we have something called Finch Freedom Ventures. And so we don't just consult businesses, we actually co-build to get them to scale. And so what we have is we already have a team of people that does the marketing, does the logistics, does the sales.
That's been with us for years.
Yeah.
They already know how to do this. They could do it in their
And
sleep.
they're so good. They're so good. We want the best people around us. And our goal is just simple. It's to create immediate cash flow and build a model that can run nationally. And so we had one person that kind of came to us. They had a juice company, and it's just a smaller one place that does juices, really great food, vegan food.
You love that juice too.
And yeah, it's amazing, and it's a local favorite. And we were like, you know what? You can keep your business. We don't want any equity in that, but we can turn this into a scalable brand. We can ship your products all over the country. We can help you with the marketing, and we don't have to take any equity in your current business. Instead, we can just partner with you on the next
So you
national
already started
company.
getting two paychecks. They already all of a sudden they don't have one business, they have two businesses, and
Yeah.
they have us helping them grow. And that thing can get bigger than what they're doing, and they don't have to do it by
Yeah,
themselves.
and they feel great about it because they're like, this baby is mine. I don't have to give up
Right.
anything.
Yeah.
And now I'm starting this new venture with someone that's passionate about growing and scaling. So I'm super excited about
I'm
that.
really excited about that.
That's going to be so good.
But what I'm really excited about is doing it with you, because the I feel like I have some values that I can give, but when we add in what you bring to the table too, I'm like, I don't see how any of it just doesn't go gangbusters.
Yeah, and then included there's something else that if you are not quite ready for all of that, we've created this custom business platform that I think is magical. And basically it's like this one-stop shop that like it has all the best technology that we have found to run and scale a business, you know, as far as like QuickBooks, Slack, Facebook groups, Stripe, Zoom, but DocuSign and all the different platforms, the versions of it. So it might not be DocuSign, but it's another version, cheaper version of it. And it's all into this one place where everyone can go, one platform. It's right there. They click on the button. They don't have to worry about knowing the password for this. I'm telling you, passwords have gotten crazy.
It's crazy
lately.
trying to save them and keep them, and every time you got to change them and update them, it drives me nuts. I'm not good at that. I want to just go focus on growing and scaling, not changing passwords.
It also has onboarding, offboarding in there, and it also has training on all the platforms.
So they don't have to have
like.
developers. They don't have to worry about developers and finding those. I know when they're running their business, they don't have time to work on this kind of stuff. And that's just what I love, that we've packaged all this stuff together, all the amazing things you've done, all the amazing things we've done, and then put them together and give them all these resources. They don't have to reinvent the wheel.
And it's not just software, it's your company's digital headquarters. It's like a manual, but like no one's reading manuals
Right,
anymore.
right.
So it's like there's zero manuals. It's just one platform. It has all your training already built in there. It has all your systems already built in there. It's awesome.
And we can dig into each of these as it is, but at the same time, we want to make sure we leave room to answer questions, right?
Yeah.
And because there's a lot going on here, there's a lot just thrown at you, a lot of opportunities. One's going to make sense to you today. One of them may make more sense later. And so what kind of questions can we answer?
All right, so let's dive in. If you have a question right now, just go ahead and type it in the chat, and we are ready to answer them.
Let's go.
Well, we've got some questions that have come through. So I'll go ahead and put some of the questions out there. So, one question, I'll let you answer this one, Ryan. It says, what mindset shifts are required to scale?
You know, I've been talking about this a little bit in another coaching program, and ultimately, what has to happen is you have to shift from understanding that the box that your business is in has to become either a bigger box or a whole new box, and that really is hard because people are staying in the box and they're building in the box of what their business currently is, and essentially they can't figure out how to get it bigger, and so they've got to either expand the vision in their mind of what that box is going to look like as it's bigger, or sometimes it's creating a whole new box. And that can seem overwhelming, but ultimately I think that's a lot of what we can help with, is creating that new box that's a bigger box, has a bigger vision, and includes more and more people.
All right. Another one is, how can I scale quickly if I have limited time? I'm overwhelmed right now. I need to have some little hacks. And so I'll give you a couple. One is just when you're creating content, you can actually batch the content. So instead of doing all the content, you know, a little bit here, a little bit here, especially if you're a girl, right? And you have to do your hair and your makeup, you know, instead of doing a little bit every single day, you can actually just make like 1 or 2 days where you do content. Automating the follow-up. We've got some amazing follow-up hacks that we can show you how to use. We've got some systems that automate. And then outsourcing. We have some great companies that we've outsourced because a lot of times, like I said before, people will hire so many people on staff and then they get too staff heavy. And just really doing short form videos, because you know the less time you have, the more you need systems to work on some of those short form videos. And we have some AI tools and some other things that can help you, where you can record even now on Zoom one time, and then you can take the AI will literally take and cut your short forms for you. So we've got some really cool hacks that we can show you. So, if what we said resonates with you and you want to take things to another level, I'll let Ryan kind of talk to you about some different things that we have. So, go ahead, Ryan.
So we have a couple different things that we've opened up to. So one of the first things that we have is the group coaching. And so we're moving into a point in where we can do group coaching. This allows us once a week on Tuesdays at noon. So every Tuesday at noon, starting in January, we'll set up a group coaching. Everyone can come in. We can help answer your questions and help guide you through whatever your business things are. Those will also break out into kind of separate groups so that it'll be more individualized coaching as well. And then the next thing we have, and there's a QR code here, so you can scan that. We also can add that into the chat as well. You can DM us. We can give you the link to sign up for that. So you can sign up now all the way through the year. And then beginning in January, we'll be able to start that group coaching. So we're excited about that, doing that together. She has so much value, as we talked about already, that can plug in, and then plugging in my value and any resource. We see a vision of how we can take, you don't have access to this person or that person. We have those accesses and we can give those to you and deliver so that you can help grow your business whichever way you want. And then the next part of this is one-on-one. Now, one-on-one, ultimately, this is a value that you're really going to be able to see that you can dig in. I think there's a huge value in group coaching, and you're going to pick up some stuff. In a one-on-one coaching, it really is that back and forth speed things up, right? You're going to have just so much more value with that. To have that one-on-one coaching, you can go into the link, you can set that up. There's also a QR code, and then you can go with either one. If you want more marketing and branding and all the value that Chantel has, then obviously you can plug in with her. And then if you have something you want for a value with me, you can plug in with me as well. And so you're going to have those things where you can plug it in. I know the value that this brings. I know what it does. I can't explain to you. There's nothing you're going to see that's on a YouTube clip or a YouTube video that's going to bring the same value that one-on-one does. It just has such a value. You will see a multiple. This is a cheat code. This is one of those things where you just have a blind spot, or you just have a stuck spot and you need to get through something on your business. You do this one-on-one and it's going to be a huge value for you. One of the next things that we have is, as Chantel talked about on the video, this Jet Mastermind. I've done this. This is one of these things where when you're doing this, it just changes the game for you. We've done it multiple times, but you're going to be on there with other people that are like-minded, and you're going to see a value from this. You're going to have a value. One of these things, once you invest in something like this, it's going to expand your mind. If you haven't done one of these are one of the things that you're going to want to check off the bucket list, get the value, have the adventure. You have, the content value you're going to get from being on there. And then
And we actually do commercials for people. So, like, when we're there, we actually have created content and commercials and branding. I mean, the things, like I said, that happen in the air, I don't know what happens, but your mind gets clear, and there's the most amazing aha moments when you're up there.
Absolutely. Yeah. And ultimately, this is going to put people around you that are looking to invest at that level. I've always looked at it like you're sowing a seed, you're investing money. Something like this is set up where you can end up getting a multitude of value that you just can't get in some of the other levels. And sometimes it's the sowing the seed that's investing in yourself to do this, which is going to catapult you through. Sometimes people need that. Sometimes it's going to be just the person. You're going to get a one nugget. You can pay this amount of money and see a 10 to 100x multiplier of something you get in one of these. And I've seen it and I've done it. And the relationship capital, the value, because when you're there, you're with other people that think and operate like this, so they know you're a doer. And I know Chantel's big on that, is finding people you can count on, people that are doers, and you want to be surrounded by those kind of people. All right, and the last thing that we have to offer is the reInvent experience. Okay, so finchfreedom.com/reinvent. This is going to be probably one of the most valuable things that you can do. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to have everyone come together at our house, about 10 to 12 people. We'll be able to go over different pricing models, whiteboarding things out. And when you start just thinking of the value that this is, you've got a full day coaching with me and Chantel in person. That's got to be worth over $5,000, right? Then you've got our audit and freedom plan. Getting freedom is worth it, right? You want to be able to get freedom. That's got to be at least worth $2,000. If you start looking at the private lunch network, if you look at the private lunch networking event, that's got to be worth a couple $100. Now, on top of that, you add in our marketing, our system tools, there's another couple $1,000. And then you add in the 90-day accountability framework. you're adding to over $10,000 of value. And we're going to be able to offer that to you. Ideally, we're going to do this one time in January, and then we're going to continue it all the way through the year. So if you can't make this one, you can follow up and find out the details for the next one. finchfreedom.com/reinvent. And that's how you can go and reinvent yourself in our private group in our home. We hope to see you there.
So if you are interested in the group coaching, just go to finchfreedom.com/group. If you're interested in the one-on-one coaching, it's finchfreedom.com/one-on-one. And that one for the reinvent is finchfreedom.com/reinvent. And if you're interested in the Jet Mastermind, that is finchfreedom.com/jet. Hopefully you got tons out of this. We're so glad to spend time with you guys, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye for now.